Barcelona is famous for many reasons, including its delicious foods, especially the tapas, and many fine restaurants, as you will see in this food special on Barcelona, Spain. We'll also bring you to a couple of the famous food markets, including Mercat de la Boqueria, and we'll try our best to make you hungry. What could be better than sitting at an outdoor restaurant in the old Gothic quarter of Barcelona at twilight, enjoying some drinks and excellent foods? Or go inside to the bar enjoying the stand-up action right in front of the tapa counter. We're in restaurant Sagardi in the Bourne neighborhood of the Gothic quarter, one of the most popular spots in town. You can sit down and be served at a table or help yourself by eating at the bar. You just pick what you want, put them on a plate, eat them down, and then pay for it later. Typically €3 for a small dish. While there are hundreds of tapa bars in Barcelona, you also want to experience some of the fun restaurants, such as here in front of the Santa Catarina food market, which has recently been rebuilt with this colorful undulating roofline. Here you'll find the popular restaurant Cuina Santa Catarina, which has a bar and some outdoor tables, but the main restaurant is inside. That's where you want to be. It's hard to get a reservation, so you have to book ahead for the evening, but at lunch you can generally just walk right in. Typical of many Spanish restaurants, the lunch hours are from 1 p.m. till 4 and dinner from 7:30 until 11 p.m. A bit later on the weekend. I wanted someplace special and guaranteed for our group because it was the first meal of our Europe vacation. A wonderful lunch. Lots of variety, good service, and reasonable prices. Of course, many rice dishes served with either meat or seafood. And there's pasta, you've got soups and stews, vegetables, salads, various fresh fish, lots of traditional meats, Thai chicken, Beijing pork ribs, a handful of vegetarian dishes including couscous, tempura, curry with tofu, salads with delicious fresh tomatoes. Try the gazpacho or the hummus and baba ganoush. Main themes are Mediterranean, Italian, Asian, and vegetarian. Conveniently next door, you've got the Santa Catarina food market, where the restaurant gets some of their fresh produce. Much different than the crowded and touristic but wonderful Mercat de la Boqueria we'll show you a little bit later. Here's a little preview of the Boqueria, which has become so popular with the visitors, they're almost loving it to death, making it pretty crowded, but still lots of fun. It's one of those must-see places. Mercat de Santa Catarina, on the other hand, is a little bit off the beaten track. This is more of a local market. It's the oldest covered market in Barcelona, originally opened in 1848, but recently renovated so that it's clean, modern, and spacious. Located a couple of blocks east of the cathedral in La Ribera neighborhood, close to El Born, this is a part of town that you really do want to explore, so it makes worthwhile coming to the market, the restaurant, and then take a stroll in the neighborhood. It's a district including La Ribera and El Born, and it has dozens of lovely pedestrian lanes for walking in with shops and restaurants. We're going to take you on a walk there now. We're leaving from the market of Santa Catarina, and we're just east of the cathedral a few blocks. Already we've shown you Sagardi with the tapas at the beginning. Now we're going to Arkana, Montiel, and Bar del Pla. It's always good to do a little research to help you find a restaurant, such as watching this video, but it's also nice to just wander around and see what looks good at the moment. Find a place that's lively with people eating and looking like they're having fun, and dive in.
Welcome to Bar del Pla in Barcelona. This is one of the most typical restaurants here. You will find tapas and a lot of amazing dishes. And it's been open for 10 years.
Very successful?
A lot, as you can see.
Right near Picasso Museum?
Just Picasso Museum is 1 block away from here. For tapas, yes.
€3, €5, €6, €8?
Depends on the tapas. Like the classic ones, like patatas bravas, pan con tomate, it's around 3, 4, 5 euros, and then you have like the T-bone steak and other dishes that is like a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. And you're open all day?
We only close on Sundays. It's open from 11 a.m. until 11 p.m.
11 to 11?
Yes,
wow.
It is.
And busy all day?
Busy all day, yes it is. And it's always more convenient to make a reservation.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Del Pla is one of those classic hole-in-the-wall kind of joints where they've got just a narrow street frontage, but it goes back inside, gets wider, with room for lots of people. Walking around in the pedestrian lanes, you'll find places like this on every other block. One of the reasons why Barcelona is so popular. Arkana Restaurant is located in a historic building, part of which used to be a stable for horses back in the 17th century. We have a chance to talk with Carlos, who tells us about the restaurant.
The Arkana Restaurant, it's a fusion in Argentina steakhouse in a Mediterranean style with a few tapas and with a very good seafood, very good cheese and grilled cheese platter, fresh product. We're here established more than 10 years under our management. As a restaurant, this place is under more than 40 years. And as a building, something about 450 years old. Arkana Restaurant is open from 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. serving food non-stop. It's a non-stop kitchen. We're in the heart of the Born neighborhood in Barrio La Riera in Barcelona.
Delicious sashimi at an Argentine steakhouse in Barcelona. A few blocks over on the eastern edge of Born, we found restaurant Montiel.
My name is Leonardo. Well, I am responsible of restaurant Montiel. Here in the restaurant, what we like is to work using local products from the small local producers that works in a sustainable way. So everything is organic, ecological, or produced in a natural way. The idea forces us to follow the season, so we are arranging our menus constantly according to what's available. It's cuisine, a little bit innovative, but also quite influenced by the traditional Catalan cuisine. We are located just behind the Picasso Museum in the neighborhood of El Born.
And for dessert, or just a sweet treat while you're out walking around, this might catch your eye. Churros, dipped in Belgian chocolate. Of course, in the shop, you could get a cup of hot chocolate without the churros. They'll give you a spoon to help you eat it, but it's so much better with this long donut. As you see, in addition to the churros, there's a whole variety of chocolate goodies. All of these delicious sweet items are handmade right here in the shop, using the rich chocolate that's imported from Belgium. The churros is a traditional deep-fried donut-type treat, often had in the morning dunked in coffee for the typical Spanish breakfast, or better yet, you can dip it in chocolate. This shop had dark chocolate or milk chocolate. They have a couple of stools and a small counter where you could sit down to enjoy it, or just take away and walk out on the streets nibbling on your chocolate. And probably the next place you see is serving yet more tapas. They're everywhere. In selecting restaurants, we often look to TripAdvisor, as I certainly do, but I have a cautionary warning for you about staying away from certain TripAdvisor recommendations, especially those in the top 5, which unfortunately tend to get very crowded and often not worth it. Not much better than the other restaurants that are in the top 40 or top 50. People might stand online outside for an hour, then you get inside, the tables are packed together, it's a little bit noisy, it's full of 100% tourists. You probably don't find locals eating there, or you could go to the next restaurant down the street and have just as good, if not a better meal and a much quieter experience. So if you see a line out front of a restaurant, it's probably because it's highly rated on TripAdvisor and has decent food at a fair price, but you don't need to wait on a long line to be fed in Barcelona. This does not mean that you should avoid all eateries that are mostly filled with tourists. No, because after all, it's a tourist city, and many of these fine restaurants are going to be popular with tourists. That can be perfectly okay. You're one of them, so go in and join them. if the conditions are right, like at the Mercat Boqueria. This famous food market has changed considerably in recent decades, with getting more and more tourists coming in to enjoy it.
Every city has a few special places where people gather together to experience the
Noise, aroma, interaction, and excitement. Very often you will find that the main food market is one of the most exciting destinations in town.
Occupying a city block filled with food and shoppers in the center of Barcelona, the Mercat de la Boqueria food market is a great public place that is fascinating any time of the day.
From early morning until late in the afternoon.
The Mercat de la Boqueria is fully up and running by 7 a.m. and stays open throughout the day, making this a great place to hang out for a while, watch the colorful action, get a coffee, and maybe pick up some snacks for your busy day ahead. This busy food hall comes to life quite early, actually starting from 6 a.m. when the first workers are getting there and setting things up.
But they're not really open for business to sell you anything until about 7 a.m., so that might be when you'll get your first cup of coffee if that's what you're looking for.
If you happen to wake up early and want to get a head start on the day.
Most hotel breakfasts start by 7 o'clock, so you might just take your coffee and breakfast back at the hotel and then head out here. 8 o'clock would be a good time to get started, really, because then you will beat some of the crowd. It does get very busy by mid-morning and right on through midday, as you can see here.
Now, even if you don't want any food, and even if you have no interest in architectural history, just simply walking through this market is an adventure for your senses, passing row after row of perfectly displayed fruits and vegetables arranged by workers who really care about the visual impact, the color, and aesthetics, while at the same time you are immersed in the bustling atmosphere of busy shoppers and merchants calling out their specials in booming Spanish tones to grab your attention. Odors fill the air with constantly changing palette as you walk from cheese to fish and onto the fruits and veggies. So you're getting sight, sound, color, motion, odor, and taste. This is an experience not to be missed. Now, most of the market's products really are meant to be brought home and cooked.
But there are a lot of places in the market where you can sit down and eat a meal.
Tasty food and a chance to rub elbows with some talkative locals. Eating at a simple cafe like this, sitting on a stool, is a refreshing contrast to the long wait for table service that you get in a typical restaurant. Because here everything happens immediately right in front of your eyes when you sit down on the stool, especially when it's not crowded.
There are so many food counters in here now serving up excellent meals that the Mercat has become more of a restaurant than a food market. It's really phenomenal how well it works here. You sit at the counter, look at the menu, talk to your waiter, look at the dishes behind on the hot table, pretty easily decide what you want to eat. It's prepared right away and cooked for you right in front of your eyes. This is the ultimate open kitchen. It's practically like you're sitting in the kitchen and getting really excellent service from the many people who are working at each of the food counters. And when you're finished, there's no problem getting their attention to pay the bill and move out and clear the seat for the next customer. They're happy to oblige.
If it is crowded, well, you can expect that local customers might get a little bit of priority over the tourists. So just be patient and sit there with a happy attitude, and they'll take care of you soon enough.
These casual restaurants have long been a tradition here at the food market, kind of like a precursor to our modern food courts in our shopping malls, except at the Boqueria, the food is real food. It's cooked, it's delicious, it's wholesome, and it's local and fresh.
Well, this market is housed in an old-fashioned steel and glass structure that was first built in the mid-19th century with an elaborate steel facade that was put up in the modernista style about a century ago. The Mercat de la Boqueria resembles some of those other great food halls that were once found throughout Europe's major cities, nearly all of which have been torn down or converted into more modern shopping malls. In many ways, these food hall structures were the first truly modern buildings to incorporate the engineering technique of glass walls held together by steel frames, which has subsequently dominated urban architecture.
For an in-depth visit to one of Barcelona's finest restaurants, have a look at my movie about Los Caracoles. And we have many other movies about Barcelona on the YouTube channel. Have a look. We upload a new movie every week, so please subscribe to our channel and be sure to click that little alarm bell. Then you'll be notified. And if you enjoyed the movie, how about a thumbs up? And we always welcome comments down below. It really helps us spread the word. Thank you.